Okay, welcome back. Today's episode, I got two broken SNES games off eBay. Let's see if I can get them to work. So up first is Contra, and it's giving me a black screen. I reinsert the cartridge a couple of times, and I can't get anything to fire up. So let's take this apart and see what it looks like. Judging from the outside, the PCB shouldn't look too bad. The exterior is pretty good, so I suspect the PCB shouldn't look too bad. Okay, here's a close-up of the board, and like I said, it doesn't look awful. There is some spots of rust and some corrosion, and I believe that this is a broken trace here, so I'm going to try to look further into that. But here is a bit of rust, and here I can tell that there's some moisture got in here and corroded some parts of the PCB. But other than that, I'm going to focus on what I suspect to be a broken trace. So to test for broken traces, I set my multimeter to continuity, and you should hear a buzz between 2 points. In this situation, I put my one probe on the pin, and then I go all across all the chip legs, and if I hear a buzz or if I hear a beep, then I know that there's continuity. In this case, this pin does go up to this chip. I don't actually know what pin it goes to, but I know it's supposed to go up to one of those pins, and it doesn't hit anything. So of course we have a break. So I'm going to take a fiberglass pen and file down or sand down the solder resist and see the break a little closer. So yes, we do have a break here, so I have to find a way to patch this. So now I know where this pin, the fourth from the right, goes all the way up to fourth from the right on the chip leg there. So my first attempt at patching this, I wanted to try to create a bridge right on the trace there, but I've never been good at this, and I've practiced every so often, but I don't know, I just never like the end result when I try this. Just something that I have to get better at. So you're going to see my process, me struggle here to try to patch this, and eventually later on in this video you'll see that I eventually do something else. So I'm not liking the way that's turning out, and even the trace is starting to lift up even further. So I'm just going to use my older method and just go bypass the trace altogether and go from the chip head, the head of the pin all the way to the chip leg. So I ultimately messed up a little bit and I added too much solder. So to wick away some of the excess, I'm just going to use a desoldering braid and just try to clear up the pin. You don't want to leave the pins like that because it'll wear out your pin connector on your console a lot faster, so you want to make sure the pin is flat as possible. Now in this case they became silver, so I kind of tinned the pin a little bit, but that's okay. So now with the trace all patched up, let's try this out. And it fired right up, so all it took was one patch to get this game up and running. So here you can get one last view of the board. It's not beautiful in any way, but it'll get the job done. So I'm happy with that. So next game here we got Castlevania IV. Now the funny thing is, there's probably a conspiracy or I'm just bad luck, but this is, out of all the Super Nintendo games that I've acquired, I've gotten one Castlevania 4 that I couldn't fix. It had a bad ROM, and I knew it had a bad ROM, and later on in this video I'm going to show you how to see how to test to see if you have a bad ROM or not. So just stay tuned for that. But this is my second copy of Castlevania 4 that seemingly looks pristine. As you can see, all the pins, they're clean. There's no corrosion or rust. This cartridge looks better than the last cartridge. And I tested all these pins for continuity. So when I do this, I get doubtful that I can repair this cartridge. But of course, at the very least, I try. I want to make sure that everything is up in order. Now here, this capacitor does look brown and like it's busted. It's leaking. For sure it's leaking. But sometimes those capacitors, they can leak and the cartridge will still work. So I have a couple of things I want to try out. First things first, I'm going to reflow these pins here, reflow the chip, and see if that helps. So I'll add some fresh flux and I'll add some fresh solder. And I add the fresh solder and the flux anyway. It's gonna help me kill two birds with one stone, just in case I do have to remove this chip and do a board swap. So fresh flux and fresh solder always helps in the desoldering process. So yeah, after testing it, it didn't work. So in this case, I'm gonna do a board swap. Now what I have in my hand here is just a board that obviously it's a different game and it does work. So I'm just testing to make sure that this board is okay. So right now I'm gonna swap the Castlevania 4 with this Hyperzone board. It's just a board, and hopefully that works. Here you can tell if the board is compatible or not because they have the same, I guess, model number on the top there. So I'm gonna just transfer these two chips. So yeah, here I got my desoldering gun, and to save some time I did this most of it off camera. So here we have the two boards with the chips removed. So I'm just going to trade them and then set them aside. Now I actually set aside the wrong game. Let me get the other game back in the frame, and I'm going to add this chip to this board. So I was a little bit hasty, or I didn't notice, and I had my temperature set on my desoldering gun a bit too high. If you notice the second pin on the right, on the top right, there's the ring, the through hole ring is gone. So I did test for continuity with my multimeter to make sure that that chip leg is still making contact with the pin on the pin connector. So even though the ring is gone, it's still fine. So here we go, we tested one more time, and of course I didn't get anything. So you can't really fix them all. In this case, I suspect to have a bad chip. In fact, later on in this video, I'm gonna prove it to be a bad chip. So this is funny because this is my second Castlevania copy that I can't get to fix because of a bad chip. So I don't know what's going on, but I probably won't be getting any more Castlevania 4s. Okay, since the original board, the one that the Castlevania came on, had what I suspected to be a burst capacitor, I'm gonna actually put the hyper zone game on that board, on this board here, and see if it works. If it works, we can rule out a bad board, and we can narrow it down even further to being a bad chip. So it seems the Castlevania board was okay all along. So let's figure out what's going on. So here we got the game that we're trying to repair and my copy of Castlevania 4. Now I'm going to take them both apart and I'm going to compare the two and do some testing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take my multimeter and set it to diode test. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to put my red lead, my positive lead, on the ground, which on the ground of the chip, which I know is the bottom left pin. So I put the red lead on the ground, and then I go across all the data and address lines of this chip, and I should get a reading. So obviously I'm not going to waste too much time. I'm not going to go through all of them. I'm just going to give you an example. The reading usually is 0.64 and something. And so now I go to the faulty game, and on the 7th from the top, counting from the top left, the 7th pin is open line, so I don't get any reading. So just from one chip to the other, I already know that one is faulty. And in fact, off camera, I tested a few pins on the bottom of the chip, and they were also open line. So I suspect that this chip got burned. Either it was a power surge or something happened where it just spiked the chip and it just fried it. So I don't actually know if there's a way to fix this. I know with some Sega Genesis games in the past I did get one repaired with a resistor, but I've had another Castlevania, like I said earlier in this video, that I tried the resistor trick and it didn't help me. So yeah, if you have any solutions to my problem, maybe you can help me out. Maybe somebody knows something and they can offer assistance. So all in all, I did get one game to work. To be honest with you, I broke even on the lot. I paid about just under $40 for both of the carts with taxes and shipping. So not a great deal, but I didn't lose out completely. So to close out this video, if you like these videos that I'm making, let me know in the comment section down below. Give me a like if you like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, please share this with somebody. And also one last thing, I do want to give a shout out to a repair channel, that smaller channel, but he's a good friend, and I like the videos he puts out, and to me he does really good work, and he has a lot of great tools. It's Will's VG Addiction. I'm gonna leave his channel link in the description down below. Please go over there and subscribe to him, watch some of his videos. He does cartridge repairs, he also does Super Famicom repairs, and yeah, he's a good guy, and go subscribe to his channel. So of course that's it for this video, and once again, thank you all for watching.